Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be covering the new update for the upcoming Go Battle League season, the season of hidden gems. There's definitely some hidden gems in this update, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to resize my monitor or my video here, and you can see that it's almost here. Pretty standard stuff. The season will start on Thursday, June 1st at 1 p.m. PDT, so 4 p.m. Eastern time for those that live on the East Coast, and obviously the corresponding, I think it's like 9 p.m. in the UK and 10 p.m. In Central Europe, and then the next day for Asia and all the other corresponding times. All right, so we took a look at the schedule here. Pretty standard stuff. We see 2 week of the Open League, so we see 2 weeks of Great League, 2 weeks of Ultra, or yeah, 2 weeks of Ultra League, 2 weeks of Master, and then 1 week of each of these particular cups. We're gonna have a Summer Cup for Great League and Ultra League to start off. I'm very excited about the Ultra League. I really like Ultra League theme cups just because they usually have like a lot of play and they're usually pretty dynamic. Ultra League tends to be less well, there's a lot more counterplay in Ultra League than there typically is in Great League theme cups. And then we have Element, Little Cup, Single Type a Cup. There's also a few bands. I'll go over these once we get around to this. We have Single Type a Cup for Great League continued on. Um, and I think this is also will apply for the 3 times Dust as well whenever Master League comes around, which is always nice to have. 3 times win reward, I should say. And then we have Retro, which Great League Remix. Retro Cup is definitely always a very solid cup in terms of gameplay. Great League Remix, Fossil, which again I'll just go over these. Jungle. Then we have the Open, and then we have Fantasy Cup, which was one of the featured cups in the start of last season or this current season, or the season that's ending, but which was a lot of fun, a lot of Galarian Weezing, Registeel, those type of Pokemon, and then we have Catch Cup, which should be all the Pokemon that are caught after June 1st, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So we see Go Battle Weekend Clay. We can see 4 times Dust from win rewards. Does not stack on top of the 3 times Dust from the Master League rotation. You'll see 20 increase from 5 to 20 sets. Free themed timed research, which includes a clay style hat. Paid theme research, which will include a rewarding dust. Hopefully, it's a little bit better than than the previous one, but we'll see. And then we have the active leagues at this time will be Master League Premier, which is usually, in my opinion, one of the worst cups. But there's some fun Pokemon there, but it's not one that I particularly enjoy. And then Single Type Cup, we'll see how that's going to play out. I'm sure Pokemon that have like really great coverage will be very strong. And then we have the Pokemon Go World Championship event, which will feature all 3 active leagues: Great League, Ultra League, and Master League. And I saw someone on Twitter note that it's nice to have Great League in rotation when there's the Pokemon Go World Championship. Uh, One, for the competitors, even though it's a small group of people, for them the chance to play and practice if they're not, don't want to scrim against other players. And then as well, it also allows people, if they get inspired, they see some really fantastic gameplay that they will be able to utilize some of those teams and strategies uh, in um, in the upcoming battles, especially during the World Championship. All right, and then some of the rewards here, all the pretty standard stuff here. Nothing too exciting here. There is only really one exciting reward, which is this Wooloo that you get at rank 16. Hopefully, it'll become part of the pool of Pokemon that you can get, because Wooloo is something that desperately needs to spawn. And hopefully, they'll be able to spawn. Hopefully, they'll spawn sometime during the season, but getting as a GBL reward is also very nice. We have time research, nothing too exciting there. Let me know what you think about this new pose. I think it's okay. I don't know, like, there. I'm okay, again. I'm not a huge. I guess it's from Black and White. I didn't play Black and White, so I'm not quite sure why. Did they have watches back then? I don't know what the. Again, I'm not a very um informed Pokemon trainer outside of what's in Go. So you can let me know if this them staring at their watches is fitting. We saw see all the standard leagues here. A Master Premier Summer Cup will include normal, fire, water, grass, electric, and bug. Same thing with the Ultra League. Element Cup, which we've seen previously, and then single type cup only Pokemon under 1500 with one type. For example, Wobbuffet is only a psychic type is eligible. However, Swampert is water ground type is not permitted. And with the following bans, Cresselia and Defense Deoxys, this makes sense. These are two of the strongest Pokemon of single typing. I'm assuming Wobbuffet will be quite strong with the Deoxys ban, or at least one of the reasons why Deoxys ban is because counter is so strong. So we'll see how that's gonna play out. We see Retro Cup, which will ban Dark Steel and Fairy types. I find this usually a pretty fun cup. A lot of like Frostlass, a lot of Altaria, those type of Pokemon. Um, not yeah, Frostlass and Altaria, if I remember correctly. Fossil, a cup, which will include water, rock, steel, water, rock, and steel. So are only permitted. So at first glance, it makes it look like Swampert is really strong in this particular cup since it counters rock and steel. But then you have Pokemon like Credilli, which is a part rock type, which will be able to handle the water and rock types pretty well. So we'll see how this cup particularly shapes out. We see Great League Remix, which include a number of bands of the most popular Pokemon that are used. As you can see here, looks like it's 20 Pokemon that are banned. So I'm assuming that's based off of usage data. And then we have Fantasy Cup again, which is one of my favorites, which bans Galarian, Stunfisk, and Cobalion. Usually Registeel, Giratina, Tapu Fini, Galarian, Weezing are some of the popular Pokemon included in this Fantasy Cup. Then we have Catch Cup, which will obviously there. And then we have some new attacks here. We have Liquidation, which is a base 70 power move with a chance to lower the opposing Pokemon's defense by one stage. I'm assuming it's going to be a crunch clone. So 45 energy, 70 damage. So like middle of the road, not terrible, not great. Um, but with the chance to lower the defense, can obviously change some matchups depending on the Pokemon that's using it. Might sometimes some usage here. And then we see uh, Leafage. Leafage is how you pronounce it with base power 6. Um, Depends on the energy, depends on the duration, depends on a number of different factors. Um, could be good, could be bad, could be mediocre. Um, Unlikely that it's a one turn move because then that would make it like way too strong. Likely, yeah. We'll see how much damage it'll do when it comes out. And then we see some buffs, some attack changes, buffs and nerfs. We see Icicle Spear and Poison Fang both getting a 5 damage power buff. Honestly, these are not really that consequential um, in terms of the meta. Icicle Spear obviously only applying to Walrein. Poison Fang can be applicable to like Nidoqueen, Golbat, Crobat, those type of Poison Fang users. But five base power is like almost nothing compared to like the 5 energy nerf that they got in the previous season. So I do expect it to be a little bit stronger, but and it's not going to make that big a difference in terms of the. If these were the only changes, this would change almost absolutely nothing for these particular Pokemon. But in combination with the other changes, it actually does make some play for Pokemon like Walrein. For Nidoqueen, I don't think it's gonna be too relevant, but we'll see. We see rollout go from a 4 power to 5 power again, not too consequential, but it does allow it to have a little bit more fast move power. Pokemon like Dunsparce and Miltank will have slightly more fast move power, so it makes it feel like even when it's double super effective, it's actually doing damage this time. The Mud Bomb buff going from 55 to 60 power is pretty decent, just because Mud Bomb honestly was a pretty terrible move. Now it is a decent move, not a fantastic move, but a pretty decent one. It goes from like 40 55 to 40 60, which Pokemon like Toxicrow, like Cash, I know a Pokemon like Quagsire is going to be getting access to it, so it is a little bit helpful there. But 60 power, I believe Earthquake is 120, so it'll do like half of what Earthquake will do. Um, which again, Earthquake is like one of the best like non-special moves in the game. And then we see Seed Bomb, the power increase from 55 to 60, but the energy cost also increases. So Seed Bomb was a Mud Bomb clone, but now it looks like Seed Bomb will be more like Aerial Ace. So it will probably be about 45 energy, which means that Trevenant was now slower. So instead of being able to reach the Seed Bomb after 5 Shadow Claws, it'll be 6 Shadow Claws, 6 Shadow Claws, and then 5, which does reduce its speed quite a bit, which is pretty consequential. Like a 5 energy nerf is very substantial, especially when it causes you to one have residual energy, which will now have, because when you do 6 Shadow Claws, it generates 48 energy, but it only uses 45. So it's, even though it has a certain energy efficiency, because you're not using the 3 energy, it does make the move less efficient. Anyway, so there's lots of consequences there. So I do expect Trevenant to go way down in terms of usage, because of that, which will have a tremendous ripple effect. Because right now the Great League meta is very much this like Noctowl, Lantern, Trevenant like trifecta, with very few Pokemon that are able to break that trio. But so it will definitely see some changes in the meta. In terms of attack availability updates, we see Alolan Sandslash getting access to Drill Run, which is very, very, very consequential, because Drill Run is a decent move. I think it's like 45 energy. I said 45, 75, something like that? Or is it 45, 80? Anyway, it's a good move. It's a good move. Uh, it will be way cheaper than Bulldoze. It'll be cheaper than Gyro Ball as well. But now will give us really good steel coverage, to fight against the Galarian Stunfisk, Registeel, those type of Pokemon, and as well allowed to hit neutral against opposing ice types. And along with Shadow Claw, it will make it a very strong Pokemon in Great League and in Ultra League. Do I think it will be like top tier? I don't think so, but I do think it will have if I right now it's probably like a top 20, 25 Pokemon in Open Great League, which it certainly can have some from a play Pokemon tournament perspective. So certainly we've seen many people use it in top 8, and it definitely has some like strong play. But with this having Drill Run now, it's probably more like a top 12 Pokemon, which is really big jump. But I don't think it'll be like on every single team, because Pokemon like Medicham, I think, will are even stronger because of these changes. We see Clefable get access to Fairy Whim, and this is pretty big deal, because Clefable has pretty strong charge moves. It has Meteor Mash, it has Psychic, it has a Moonblast. It also, I think it has like a Dazzling Gleam too, which I don't think you want to use Dazzling Gleam, but the maybe it's not Dazzling Gleam, but whatever it is, Meteor Mash and Moonblast are both very strong moves. Meteor Mash, one of the most efficient moves in the game. No stab on it, but it does provide it nice coverage. And then Moonblast, obviously a really, really strong move, and as well has stab on fairy moves. But it does mean that Clefable has a better zero shield matchup against a lot of Pokemon. But because Fairy Wind has very little fast move pressure, it also means that it has a worse 1 and 2, especially 2 shield matchup compared to Charm. You won't see like the 2 shield Charm down strategy if you're using a Fairwind, because obviously it doesn't have access Charm, but 2 shield fast move down. But it has much better simulation and matchups in the zero shield, which is pretty nice. And then Wigglytuff learns Disarming Voice, which is a faster move than Play Rough right now. I believe Play Rough is more energy efficient, but Dazzling Gleam, not Dazzling Gleam, Disarming Voice is a nice cheaper move. I will allow it to get access to the move after 8 charms as opposed to 10 for Ice Beam and for Play Rough, which means that it'll be a little bit faster. I don't think it makes a huge change for Wigglytuff, but I think it's probably going to be the preferred move because with all the charm damage, likely you want to throw Ice Beam or Disarming Voice since you're already doing enough fairy damage. So having that extra like 20 base power on the fairy moves, it doesn't really make that big a difference for Wigglytuff. We see Golduck learn the charge attack liquidation. Right now, I think it has like Cross Chop, Ice Beam, Bubble Beam. So it will certainly have better water coverage at 45 energy. It will be cost a little bit more than Bubble Beam, but it actually will be the same number of confusions in order to get to the first one because you need 4 confusions to get to the first Bubble Beam, and then you need 4 confusions to get to the first liquidation. Also, then be a truer water counter. Do I think it's going to be that useful in Open Great League? Probably not, but in like single type cup, it might be interesting, right? With confusion damage, cross chop, and then a water charge, strong water, decently strong water charge move in liquidation. It will provide it like a really good coverage, psychic fighting in water, which is really useful in these type of single type cups. And then we see Dugong, which I think is one of the biggest winners in this. They'll learn Draw Run and Liquidation. I don't think Liquidation, honestly, is going to be the preferred move over Icy Wind, um, unless you think you need the water, and ground coverage. But I think probably not. I think Icy Wind's gonna be preferred. There's way more mind games with Icy Wind, and there's definitely more two shield scenarios where Icy Wind's gonna come in way more handy. But you never know. Drill Run will certainly be the preferred second move for Dugong. Um, and Drill Run will allow it to have better counterplay against Lantern, better counterplay against Galarian Stunfisk, against Registeel. I don't think it'll flip the Registeel in like the Zero Shield, for example, but the Drill Run is really nice. I definitely would not underrate Dugong. Now I think it's going to be one of the most popular Pokemon in Open Great League, and it'll certainly cause some more timeout matchups. And I think it'll be super strong. Definitely a Pokemon that if you don't already have access to a double Legacy Dugong with Ice Shard and Icy Wind, you definitely want to have one for the upcoming season. Again, this is only going to be applicable for the Great League because Dugong only gets like 2100 for Ultra League purposes. And then Cloyster getting access to Liquidation is nice. It's certainly a buff because right now its water coverage is like typically you run Icy Wind, Hydro Pump, so liquidation will be cheaper, similar to like how Lantern got access to Surf. It made a big change, even though Hydro Pump is more energy efficient. Being able to get access to that move is very nice, but I don't think it'll make Cloyster relevant in any of the open cups. And then Vaporeon, liquidation does absolutely nothing for it. It already has access to Aqua Tail, you know, Water Pulse, Hydro Pump, a number of different moves. A fourth um, water charge move is going to do nothing for it. Togetic getting access to Fairwind, I don't think like it's that consequential because Togetic doesn't have that strong of a charge move, so having fast energy generation doesn't really do very much for it. Quagsire getting access to Mud Bomb, we'll see. It's certainly faster than Earthquake, but with Mud Shot, like it might be a case where you need to land 2 mud bombs to KO when one earthquake would have KO'd. So in the zero shield, I imagine it's way worse. Um, but in the two shield, it might be better against some Pokemon. And I guess it's like a good bait move, right? Like if you're gonna run like Mud Bomb, Stone Edge, for example, right? Then, and you feel you're gonna get outpaced if you go straight Stone Edge, then throwing a Mud Bomb bait might be a play. It's definitely a buff. It's definitely a buff. I just don't think it's like a super crazy buff for it, for Quagsire. And then Tarantar getting Brutal Swing does nothing for it from a PvP perspective, but from a raid perspective, Brutal Swing is better than Crunch, which will make Shadow Tarantar way stronger, and then make Mega Tarantar one of the strongest Pokemon to use in raids. Credilli getting access to Rock Slide is really nice. It does mean it's faster than Stone Edge, right? So Stone Edge is 55 energy. Rock Slide is 45. Stone Edge is more energy efficient. So for 10 more energy, you get, I think, like 30 more damage or 25 more damage or something. I think it's maybe 25. 25 more damage. So it is quite a bit more damage for how much energy you have to give up. But um, Rock Slide is much faster, especially when you think of it from a Bullet Seed perspective. It will allow Cradily to pace a little bit faster, and pacing is so important in Great League. So I think it will be a buff to Cradily, and with like Trevenant nerfed, and yeah, then we might see more like Lantern in the meta. I think it'll be a very strong Pokemon. Again, I definitely can see it someone going pretty far in the tournament for it as more of a surprise pick. But I don't think in Open Great League, or at least in these play Pokemon tournaments, it'll ever sweep a team. Just because I still expect like a lot of Registeel, a lot of Medicham, um, especially Medicham, which will be able to counter Credilly pretty easily. Armadillo, getting access to liquidation. I don't know if that makes any difference here. Floatzel, I think it already has access to Surf, so I don't know if that makes any difference here. Drifblim getting access to Mythical Fire is interesting. I was running some sims on it. It certainly changes some matchups like Registeel, like Galarian Stunfisk. Is it super crazy? Maybe not, but it's certainly an interesting pick to see. Snover and Abomasnow getting access to Leafage, I don't think that'll make too big a difference, to be honest. Probopass getting access to Zapcan, I don't think it will make too big a difference. Heatran getting access to Earth Power. Um, so like Heatran's like biggest weaknesses are really Kyogre in in um uh in Master League. So Earth Power doesn't really do too much of anything because it already has access to Stone Edge, which is a better move. Because like, I think it's like 55 100 versus Earth Power is like 55-90 with a 10% chance of a defense drop. So it doesn't really change it there. It might provide a better matchup against Dialga where you can just go straight Earth Power as opposed to, I guess you go straight Flamethrower, and I guess they'll have like a better Zero Shield matchup against Dialga, but I don't think it makes too big a difference there. Samurott getting access to Liquidation does absolutely nothing for it. Whimsicott getting access to Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb's a little bit faster than Grass Knot, but Grass Knot's just a better move. It already has access to Fairy Wind. So I don't think it makes too big a difference to be honest. Caracosta getting access to Liquidation. Maybe. I think it has Surf already. Amoga getting access to Acrobatic, replacing Aerial Ace, so it'll be a better like Zero Shield matchup. But I don't think it makes too big a difference. Uh, Electrotross will get access to Liquidation. Litwig might be relevant in some little cup, something like that. Beartic, I think it has Surf too. A lot of these Pokemon already have Surf, so and then we see this Rowlet Evolution Line getting Leafage, which I'm not sure how much it'll do. Primarina getting access to Disarming Voice is very similar to like Wigglytuff getting access to Disarming Voice. It'll just be a faster Fairy Charge move, which will definitely make a big difference in some like open master, especially master premier, where like if you're running charm or you're running waterfall, you want just a faster charge move there. Likely replace Moonblast. I'm not 100% sure to replace Moonblast because they'll be worse in the zero shield, but better in like 1 and 2 shield, especially if you're running waterfall. And then for Mantis and Lurantis getting leafage, I don't think it makes too big deal. Already has access to Fury Cutter. and then Galissapod getting access to liquidation. I think it has Aqua Jet, something else, so it certainly will be a buff. We'll see how relevant it'll be. And then Ice Punch on Ursaluna is nice because then it'll have something else it can hit, like Giratina against, and then as well, as opposed to like I think it has like Thunder Punch and or high horsepower, and I don't know what its other moves are, um, but it will definitely be a nice buff here. And if we take a look, I was gonna actually do a tier list, but then I saw on Twitter Inadequance did a tier list, so we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. I'm just gonna pop this up here, and let's see what he says here. I didn't get a complete full list tier as I was packing for Italy. Super exciting. So let's go to the bottom. He says rip. Yeah. So some of the things that I Armadillo, Floatzel, Trevenant getting nerfed. Any of the dragon types getting nerfed because of all the ice and fairy types getting buffed. Obstagoon also getting nerfed because Metachamp is now super, super strong in the meta. Still mediocre. Yeah, Golduck, Cloyster, Vaporeon, Lutras, Beartick, and Nidoqueen. Again, I don't think the Nidoqueen buff did really very much. No change. Wigglytuff again. Again, I don't think it's too consequential. Abomasnow again. We talked about um, Whimsicott, even though it has access to Seed Bomb nerf does make it a little bit worse now. Yeah, Primarina says doesn't make a big difference here. Again, I think it's that situation of like, do you want to run Moonblast or Disarming Voice? Uh, oh, Miltank, he's saying doesn't make a difference. Again, it's just a slight damage buff, so it kind of makes sense here. Decent now is Clefable, Togetic. I'm not sure about Togetic. Maybe he knows something that I don't know. Probopass getting access to Zap Cannon again. Okay, that's nice. You'll have like a better Bastiodon matchup, but I don't think it makes too big difference, in my opinion. Lickitung, Politoed, Azumarill, Tapu Fini, Ursaluna, Cash, Unova, Sunfist, Toxtrot, Sableye, and then now the ones that got the big buffs are the Alolan Sandslash, which I agree, Dugong, Cradily, Driftblim. Again, he's more high on the Driftblim Mythical Fire buff than maybe I am, but maybe he's just seeing that there's going to be a lot of buffs to Metachamp, like in terms of the counters, right? And then and there's going to be like less Trevenant, less knocked out because of all the ice types that got buffed. Um, so maybe, and then Dunsparce definitely getting a buff because of the. I don't know if it's like that big a buff for Dunsparce. And then Lantern getting a buff because Trev nerf. Deoxys getting a buff because of the Trev nerf. Cresselia getting a buff as well because of the Trev nerf. Charizard, Arachnid. Oh, that's an interesting one. Umbreon and Alolan Marowak. Interesting. I guess Alolan Marowak, because I guess because Trev got nerfed, knocked out, got indirectly nerfed, and there's a buff to ice types. That's an interesting one. But Dugong now has access to Drill Run, which will definitely have allowed to have way more counterplay. Sandslash still not great against it, but having access to Drill Run probably allows it to win the Zero Shield matchup, to be honest. So especially with a little bit of energy lead. Yeah, so pretty interesting change. We'll see how everything shakes up. Obviously, we still have to have how much energy and duration leafage is gonna be, but this is a very exciting season. I'm looking forward to seeing how the different cups and leagues play out. I'm definitely gonna be grinding this season quite a bit. I want I I feel like I haven't been competitive in Go Battle League in a while, so I'm determined to make it to the front page at some point in the season, maybe several times in the season. So you'll definitely see me try hard in the season more so than probably since honestly any Go Battle League season. So look forward to a lot of really great content, a lot of really great teams, hopefully a lot of really great teams, and a lot of really great battles. Look forward to seeing it. Maybe I'll see some of you in the battlefield. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.